Hello, Vietnam, and hello, world, on this sweltering July evening. And I'm going to speak quickly, as always, to get my fan back on when I'm done. So, today I wanted to talk about woke advertising, specifically the Nike shoes with the Betsy Ross flag and an advertisement that I saw for Subway sandwiches, of all things, and how these advertisements are related and how this is sort of the changing face of advertising. I've touched on this a little bit before, and H Bomber Guy, the gamer YouTuber, did an excellent video on it. But the idea is that since people aren't watching TV anymore, people aren't sitting through commercials anymore like we used to, advertising has become more complicated and more interactive with its audience. And so in order to make any impression, you really have to do something weird or noticeable, or you have to play on the American senses. In the same way that you saw the logos turn to rainbow flags only during the month of June as companies were trying to sell more to express pride for virtue points, political points. Then you have the case of Colin Kaepernick, who wasn't that good at football, I don't think, but he became noted for refusing to stand for the pledge. And bringing in all of this Black Lives Matter stuff into the NFL, of course, it had already been there. It was already a pretty richly politicized area. You know, I remember watching the Packers in the 90s and stuff, and it wasn't so much like that. Then we had Beyonce, and we had different movements and expressions taking place. And so now he refused to support the Betsy Ross flag. And so I was thinking about the Betsy Ross flag and how it's now it's getting memed a lot now, and people are using it as representation of right wing. And Trump mentioned Betsy Ross in his speech on Independence Day, which was really cool. Which, of course, wasn't a very shrouded reference to the crisis at Nike. But that flag has 13 stars in a circle, and I understand the 13 stars, but I was thinking about it and talking to a Vietnamese viewer, actually. And in Vietnamese, the word for American flag is Hoa Kỳ, and Hoa Kỳ it means flower flag, Hoa, right? Just like the Chinese, it comes from China, because when the first American ships came to China and came to Vietnam, Gulf of Tonkin, right? The ships had the Betsy Ross flag, and the locals, the Chinese, thought it looked like a flower to have the ring of 13 stars, which I think is pretty cool. And I don't see it as right wing or anything else, but it's revolutionary, certainly, because it's the flag that we adopted when we broke free from the British. Anyway, simply talking about this and making a video about this, and the fact that everyone's been talking about it, is giving Nike lots of free advertising. And so that's just the way it is. It used to be they could just show a famous athlete run around in the sneakers or something. Just like cola commercials just used to be pretty people on the beach, you know, girls in bikinis for gum, all that. The simpler times, but now we have to play on America's attitude. And this is one thing that I've learned from far away, is that Americans get very upset about symbols and everything, and we get so worked up about all that, and everything has to be an argument, everything has to be a conversation. And I really don't dig that at all. And that's something that I didn't realize when I was in the midst of it. You know, you just see it as part of day-to-day life, but it does create an emotional toll on a lot of people. Anyway, the other ad I wanted to talk about was for Subway sandwiches. And of course, now I'm giving them free publicity as well, but you'll see how it relates, because I was teaching a class of adults, an IELTS class this week. And I showed them the ad because we were talking about, that's one of the IELTS topics, is talking about advertising. So I showed them the ad and I said, what do you think this is advertising? And so it goes through the whole thing where it's a boy in his early childhood, and then it shows getting in fights, it shows his first kiss, right? Like, it's a very intimate look at this boy's life. It shows him going to rice paddies in Vietnam for some reason. You see people and the known laws and everything. he's in Vietnam. And then it shows him back in the States, and he's wearing a nice suit, and he walks up to the counter and orders a sandwich, right? But you don't see any actual sandwich. And so I asked the students what they thought it was selling, and they said, well, is it for a train? Is it for an actual subway? Is it for an underground? So I had to Google the pictures and show them, no, these are the sandwiches they're selling, and this is why they're generating conversation. And I think it's fine. It's like the Gillette ad. It's all this. We're all falling for it. I even shared a Budweiser ad because I thought it was funny during Pride Month or whatever. And it's not something we need to fight or be afraid of or really worry about, but we need to be aware of what's happening, and this is just the form that marketing is taking. I never studied marketing, but I always thought it would be an interesting topic. Over and out.